Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you're having a great week. Thanks for joining me again. Make sure that you hit subscribe. It's been quite the week of stories. We're getting into that part of the year where, people have been fired and there's talks of people being fired, and we're getting down to people getting into playoff mode and who's going to get the number 1 overall seed, and it's that kind of time of year where the separation from the bad teams to the good teams is really a chasm. And the bad teams this year, luckily, are very interesting for us, like the Dallas Cowboys. And I think that Dak is taking a little wee bit of a shot at Jerry Jones with his comments on Mike McCarthy. If you really dissect the quote, which I usually don't do, but Dak is one of those players that is so good with the media. He's so good at quarterback speak that when he says something a little spicy, which he has been doing a bit more lately, I pay attention because he does know how to say nothing. He does know how to deliver a crispy word salad, which I think all quarterbacks should honestly always do for the most part, because you don't want to give us, the media or fans, extra fodder, especially when you're struggling. But this quote endorsing Mike McCarthy is really interesting. So he said, I'm almost feeling helpless. Like, I can't help him in this situation, especially a guy you believe in so much. You believe in your head coach. I believe in him wholeheartedly. I don't want to necessarily get into the nuts and screws of all of it, obviously, but I think he definitely deserves a chance. Another contract. Now, here's the part. And a chance to coach this team amongst more influence on his terms may be a good way to say it. But I wholeheartedly believe in him. Now, I think it's very interesting because CeeDee Lamb came out and endorsed Mike McCarthy last week. Dak is doing it this week. Saying that you wholeheartedly believe in him and going as far as Dak went is very interesting, because obviously Mike McCarthy is on an expiring contract. It's all but assumed that they're going to move on from him this year. I am of the opinion that they should not move on from Mike McCarthy unless they get Deion Sanders, but we'll get to that in a second. I think that Dak is taking a direct shot at Jerry Jones with this. When you're talking about being able to do something on your own terms, when you're talking about having more influence, that's because Jerry Jones is involved. Who else would have influence in the building? Who else would be taking terms away from Mike McCarthy? That's Jerry. And listen, I defend Jerry Jones a lot. I think he is a brilliant marketer. He is an excellent businessman. He is great at building brands. He has built the biggest brand in all of sports on the entire planet. And last year, Jerry did his thing. Jerry did his thing with that roster last year. He had 9 All-Pros. Okay. Dak had the best year of his career, was an MVP finalist, All-Pro. Like, you really couldn't ask for a better roster than they had last year. They had home field advantage and they lost at home in round 1. So last year would have been a gripe that I had directly with the players and with the coaching. This year, however, this year is on Jerry. And as a whole, when we're talking about Mike McCarthy and the situation that the Dallas Cowboys are in, it's really tough for me to judge Mike McCarthy on a year where you lose your franchise quarterback. Now, he is still winning games, which he should be doing, because there are coaches who have lost their franchise quarterback and still won games. Now, should he be ultra competitive? Should they be still in the running? Well, no, they had a rough start to the season when they had Dak, which is sort of the conundrum that everyone is in with Mike McCarthy this year. Is they were bad before they lost Dak Prescott. But why were they bad? They were bad because this roster is not good this year. It is not a good roster. The running back room is malpractice. They did not fix their ability to stop the run, which was known to be a problem in Dallas. All of that is on Jerry Jones because we know that Jerry has the final say. So overall, I think it's very interesting that CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott are endorsing Mike McCarthy. I think the fact that Dak came out so strong in support of Mike McCarthy tells you a lot about what he wants. And you just paid him a lot of money. And no matter who you bring in at coach, he's going to be the quarterback for the next 2 years, because there is no shot that you can move off of that much guaranteed money. Dak's going to be there at least the next 2 years. So this is going to be a really, really interesting offseason for the Cowboys. I am fascinated to see what they do. That being said, I do not think you fire Mike McCarthy unless you get Deion Sanders. Cowboys fans are going to hate this take, but I think Mike McCarthy is a good coach. He has won 12 games 3 years in a row. The only time he struggles is when the franchise quarterback is not available, Or in this year, the franchise quarterback's not available and you have a mediocre roster. He's a good coach. He's a Super Bowl winning head coach. And when everyone brushes off like, oh, the Super Bowl, like that was so long ago. Okay. So does Mike Tomlin's Super Bowl not count? Like it wasn't that long ago that Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl. He's not 80. He is a really, really good coach. He's a Super Bowl winning coach. He's a winning coach. He's struggled in the postseason in Dallas. Guess what? So does everyone who has coached there or been there for the last 30 years. And that 30-year like albatross that's hanging over Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy and this Cowboys team is why we have to be more honest about whether teams are really contenders or not, because we just expect every year for the Dallas Cowboys to be contending, and they haven't really been contenders in 30 years. If you can't make it to the NFC Championship game, are you really a contender? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how you can go from being good to great, but the distance traveled from being what they have been, or at least they were last year during the regular season, to a Super Bowl, to me is closer than starting over with another type of guy that Jerry's going to hire. That's why I adamantly believe that only Deion Sanders can save this team. Because who are you going to go out there and get? You're going to get another guy that has to listen to Jerry, that has to pay attention to what Jerry wants, that Jerry has the influence over the team. It's this constant circle, this cycle every single year with the Dallas Cowboys. It's madness. It's the definition of insanity. Unless you're getting Deion Sanders, I would not move on from Mike McCarthy. And your two best players, or two of your best players, have come out in big time support of him. I wholeheartedly believe in him, is what Dak Prescott said. Okay, so I saw the story about Deion Sanders. It's a NFL personnel director, of course, anonymous, told ESPN's Jeremy Fowler that Sanders can be hard to work for and his message may not connect with players at the next level. He's a good fundraiser and college guys buy into what he sells. He's tried to hire good coaches, but I've been heard that he's hard to work for, and I'm not sure that the NFL guys will be in as quickly and also stay engaged. The article that I'm reading mentioned Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, and discussed that they weren't the most successful. Urban Meyer and Nick Saban are very similar to each other. Saban had more success than Urban did, obviously, and they pretty much appeared to be college coaches. Deion Sanders is an NFL Hall of Famer, an NFL legend, an NFL player. He was a player of the highest level for the biggest brands. Urban Meyer and Nick Saban were not. This is not an average NFL college to NFL journey. Right. That's not how this goes. This is not the pipeline. Like, do an amazing job in college and then get an opportunity in the NFL. This is Deion Sanders, who was all time in the NFL and then went through the college ranks, then possibly transitioning to the NFL. It's like we're inventing ways that Deion can't actually be successful at what he's doing. Maybe Deion won't be successful at the NFL level coaching. We don't know. But comparing him to career college coaches in Urban Meyer and Nick Saban is nonsense because it's Deion Sanders. Like, also, people who run a tight ship are hard to work for. Most people that do a good job are hard to work for. Most people that have standards and want excellence are hard to work for. I would actually prefer to work with someone that's hard to work for, that's getting results, than someone who's easy to work for that fails. I know everyone doesn't sign up for that, but that's my preference. Now, Deion has done an excellent job this year, despite all of the criticisms and lowered expectations coming off of his first season in Colorado. And just like when he went to Colorado, there are going to be a lot of people who don't want to see this transition to the NFL and who are going to make up reasons why it can't work. I'm not hearing the speculation about Marcus Freeman to the NFL, by the way. I'm not seeing people say, "Oh, I don't think that like NFL players are going to resonate with Marcus Freeman's messaging," because he's been rumored to be going to be up for the Chicago Bears job. Just First of all, if you're going to be anonymous, I really it always irritates me, the anonymous comments, but it can't be that he is not going to have good messaging at the NFL level when he is Deion Sanders. Give it a Google. Just a quick Google, okay? That can't be the issue. Whether or not he will be successful at the NFL level, I do not know. None of us can know. But it's not going to be because he doesn't understand how to talk to NFL players. As a former NFL player, babies, let's do better. Let's get more creative with the speculation on why it won't work. Please, I beg. All right, let's everyone's freaking out about Kyle Shanahan. They've got to calm down. So on the Rich Eisen show, Mike Florio presented the idea of the Bears trading for the Niners head coach, saying, I feel Shanahan and the Niners are getting closer to the point where they would benefit mutually from a fresh start. Okay. Okay. The Chicago Bears need a head coach, and they need a good head coach, and they need an offensive head coach. They need a coach that will be able to develop Caleb Williams and establish a culture here. And Kyle Shanahan would be brilliant with the Chicago Bears. I would love to see it. I would love to see that run game. I would love to see the staff that he would assemble. I would love to see what he could do with a talent like Caleb Williams. What does Chicago have to offer the 49ers for Kyle Shanahan? The entire city of Chicago? All of the deep dish you can eat? What would that trade even fucking look like that it would make sense for the 49ers? I understand sometimes things get stale, but let's just chill a little bit. They were in the Super Bowl last year. Everyone has been injured. It's been a down year. Sometimes that happens after you go to the Super Bowl. Do you remember when the Philadelphia Eagles went to the Super Bowl? What happened the year after? What do they look like now? Let's just relax a little bit. I give Kyle Shanahan, I don't want to say I give him grief, but I do like to keep perspective on Kyle Shanahan. I think that Kyle Shanahan has made some very ill-advised moves in the draft, Trey Lance being one of them. I think that they have underachieved for the amount of talent that they've had, even going to the Super Bowl, because if you are there that often, you should win one. But he is one of the best coaches in the league. He is an incredible talent developer and identifier for the most part, other than the ridiculous swings that he takes. And he has had this team at the top of the league for years with, let's be honest, not the best quarterback talent. Why would the Niners move on from Kyle Shanahan? It's getting really dramatic. And listen, I get it. I get it that the Bears would love for this to happen, but there's lots of things that lots of people would love to happen. That doesn't mean that there's any fucking shot of it actually going down. And again, I don't know what you would have to offer. Like, what could you offer the 49ers to trade for Kyle Shanahan? Now, unless Kyle Shanahan's like, I'm done here, this is toxic, blah, 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 but that doesn't seem to be the situation. It seems like they're just having a down year and everyone is panicking. That being said, my opinion about the Bears coaching situation is this. I want them to hire an offensive coach who has experience as a head coach in the NFL. Every situation and job that's available is not the Chicago Bears. They are unique, and they need someone who, in my opinion, does not have to learn on the job how to do the job, along with developing Caleb Williams, who next year we will have expectations of them winning. This year we had expectations of them winning, and what do you know? I was right. It was a silly over-exaggeration of what the Bears were going to just click into after years of being mediocre or bad. And all of a sudden, this on the shoulders of this rookie quarterback to turn the Chicago Bears organization into a championship organization in year one. Very silly nonsense. I was right about that. But off my gloating soapbox, get someone in the building who doesn't need to learn how to be a head coach. It is a massive job. It requires a lot. And if you've never had that job before and only observed it, maybe you know some things about it, but you don't know how to do that job. You don't know how to do a job that you haven't had before. You may be qualified for it, but that doesn't mean there isn't still a learning curve. And the Bears don't have time for that. You've already gone through an entire season of adversity. Just do yourself a favor, hire an offensive coach that has head coaching experience so that you can develop Caleb Williams and they can build an actual functioning organization in Chicago. There are a lot of great names out there, a lot of interesting names, and there will be a lot of job openings at the end of the year, like there always is. And a lot of these guys who are very deserving will get their opportunities, and I think some of them will do very well. But Chicago is a unique space, and it requires a unique talent. So this Trevor Lawrence situation, first of all, it sucks. Like I hope he's okay. It really, really sucks to see that he's on IR. He's likely ending his season, and Aziz Al-Shaair is out here talking about being a villain. If you want me to be your villain, I'll be your villain. See you soon. He got a suspension, 3-game suspension. The league said the hit was unacceptable. His continued disregard for rules governing player safety will not be tolerated. He's going to be eligible to come back for the season finale against the Titans, and that hit's going to cost him about $265,000 of his $1.5 million base salary this season. So pretty expensive and ridiculous situation going on with Trevor Lawrence and Al-Shaair. Here's what I will say. I love a villain. Okay, I love a villain. I root for the villains. I'm a villain girly. Okay, but there's a way to be a villain while also protecting players. You can be a rough, aggressive, borderline dirty player without ending someone's season. And a lot of people have said that Trevor Lawrence slid very late, but that hit was what it was. Like he was clearly trying to hurt him. He clearly hit him extremely hard while he was obviously sliding. I am usually on the defensive player's side. I think it's very difficult for us with our eagle eye and slow motion, abilities to slow down the hit, to say, oh, they should have stopped or they should have moved their body this way. These are professional athletes moving incredibly fast with a lot of muscle and weight and torque. Like it's not that easy to just say, oh, I'm in the middle of tackling and I'm just going to stop. Like that does not work that way. So in a lot of ways, in a lot of these rules, I'm on the defensive player side. But with this, like, come on, I love a villain. I think we need more villains in sports. The proper villains, not the off the field villains. I think we need more rivalries. I think we need more grit. But this is not how you do it. And like now you're the target. You're the target. So every tackle you make, every play you make, you're going to be watched with an extra level of attention, which makes it more difficult for Al-Shaair to do his job by not only putting that hit on Trevor Lawrence, jumping up and fighting over it, and then boasting about being a villain. Like, I don't think it's the flex. Like I'm with a villain, love villains, but it's just like it's just a shitty situation, and the league was going to come down hard on it because it was very visibly an awful hit, and now Trevor Lawrence is out for the rest of the season. Which, like, you want to play hard and you want to play tough. You don't want to end guys' seasons, potentially take money out of their pocket or damage their careers, because this is a violent sport and there's a level of respect in, let's call it, combat that just was disregarded in this situation. So don't love it. Okay, so I'm also really starting to get very worried about the Lakers. I think I might be worried about the Lakers. They lost to my Heat 134-93 last night. That's only the second time in 6 years that the Lakers have lost by at least 40. They lost to the Sixers by 44 last year. LeBron did finally make a 3, so that ended a streak of 21 missed, which is the longest streak of his career since his rookie season. Don't love that. They've lost 6 of their last 8, with their last 2 by a combined 70 points. They are 17th in points and 18th in point differential, 22nd in points allowed. They have the worst shooting defense in basketball. They're 12-10 right now and currently 9th in the West. But I felt that this team had potential this year, not to make a deep run, obviously, but to make the playoffs, perhaps win a series, make it a season of value for the Lakers. And I'm really trying to not dive into the this is the end thing, because I don't really play that game with legends. Like, when you're done, you're done. You'll let us know. I really don't want to speculate. But I think I'm starting to get worried about the Lakers. Like, I'm a little concerned. I would be lying if I didn't say I was concerned. And JJ Redick is concerned. He said after he lost, he said, I'm embarrassed. We're all embarrassed. It's not a game. I thought we had the right fight, right professionalism. I own this, but need some ownership on the court as well. That's not a sense from me that we're together right now. I know a lot of people didn't have a lot of expectations for this season, and it was supposedly a season mostly about Bronny and LeBron and Bron be playing together, but this can't spiral, and it's looking rough right now. I don't know what the regroup is going to be. I just know that I'm very worried. I'm very worried they got to get it together. So we love hearing from you guys and appreciate your comments. Thank you for hanging out with us. Make sure that you subscribe and like and share and comment because we get to them every Thursday. And we're going to react to a couple of these. So this one is from Sally Myris, which is a very funny name. I want Saquon to win the MVP. If the Bills beat the Lions in a statement win, I think that will cement Josh Allen's chance of winning MVP. Even if Saquon breaks both records, the league doesn't value running backs like they used to. That's true. But the league is like a little cyclical with running backs. Like one year they matter a lot. Next year they don't. This year obviously is a year of running backs. Like the Lions running back room is getting a lot of love. Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, obviously Christian McCaffrey not being there has been a very obvious loss. So like this is a year where running backs are up. So I kind of disagree. If he breaks both records, it's going to be really tough. They might still give it to Josh because it's very obvious they're winning because of Josh. But either way, I think it'll come down to the wire. If he breaks both, that's going to be tough. This is from LPMJ2619. Shout out to Mike Tomlin for bringing in Russ and putting him in a system and culture of winning football. We all witnessed what went down last year in Denver. Future Hall of Famer being publicly humiliated for no reason. Yeah, that was tough last year. I didn't like how Denver treated him from a business perspective. Obviously, they wanted to protect themselves from having to pay him more money. They are technically paying him now to be the Steelers quarterback. And I think they're happy with their decision with Bo Nix and the way that things are looking and shaping up there with a young rookie quarterback. But yeah, Mike Tomlin's done an amazing job this year, as he does every single year. Russ has been excellent. He looks like he's getting back into form. Denver was a rough stop for Russ for a multitude of reasons. He wasn't set up for success. He did a lot of things and made some decisions that I think added to those failures there. But, it's all behind everyone. I think everyone is happy with how things netted out, except for Denver having to pay Russ. They got Bo Nix, they got Sean Payton, Mike Tomlin's with Russ. The Steelers are great. Everyone's winning. I think everyone is cool at this point. The being humiliated thing, like I didn't love how they treated Russ, of course, but again, in the end, I think it all worked out for everyone. Too Many Lies 7716. I still think Derrick Henry should be considered in the MVP race. As a football fan, I wouldn't mind if there was a double MVP. I don't love double MVPs because it kind of like defeats the purpose of it being the most. But Derrick Henry's had an excellent season, and he is a big part of why Baltimore is winning. I think that both Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson have kind of fallen out of the MVP race because of the record, and they sort of cannibalize each other if we're trying to pull Lamar back up into that race. But he deserves a lot of credit. He's having an incredible season. He's been huge for them. He's one of my favorite players in the league to watch. Mandel Harvey 3429. Kirk Cousins is trying to cost his coach his job. Play the rookie. Kirk is too old to play consecutive games. He's probably great to come in for a couple games whenever Youngblood gets his noggin knocked. Yeah, Kirk is going to Kirk, and he's going to make a lot of money, and he's going to win you some games, and then he's going to do a Kirk Cousins thing, and he's going to, as Keyshawn says, turn back into a pumpkin. I respect Kirk. I respect his ability to make money. I respect his ability to win some games, but he's not a franchise guy. He always makes franchise money. And I mean, I think they're very happy with their decision to have drafted Penix now, because when you're looking at it, they're going to get this performance out of Kirk every single year. And everyone gets excited, and he starts doing the swag surf and the Kirko chains, and then boom, you get the Kirk Cousins that always shows up. That's just how it goes. GRRG 1963. I hope Coach Tomlin gets through George Pickens. He's too good. I hate to see him keep shooting himself in the foot and potentially the Steelers. You and me both, because I do not want Pickens to have a moment in the postseason that ends up costing them the season. That would be tragic. And that's what emotional players can sometimes do. And look, sports are emotional. This is a violent sport. It's hard. when, you're out there on the field, a lot can be going on, but you have to be emotionally disciplined. Like, great players are also emotionally disciplined and don't cost their team. And he's got to learn very quickly that that's unacceptable, especially when you're getting to the level of play that we are at this point in the season. Joshua Mullins 3882, as a Philly fan, I don't care if Saquon gets the award. I'd rather the Eagles win the Super Bowl. Well, yeah, of course. I mean, I think Saquon would rather win the Super Bowl than get the MVP as well. As a non-Philly fan, if you aren't going to win the Super Bowl, I would like to see him get the award because I think he deserves it. And I just think that the MVP needs to be bigger than just quarterbacks. But thanks for hanging with me. Thank you for the comments. We really appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing and sharing and commenting. Leave your thoughts. We will get to more of them next week. And have an amazing weekend. Enjoy the game tonight.